Yes, ma'am.
Would you rather the needles be on the ground and infecting people with hepatitis C and HIV?
Well, ma'am, you're making our point. Why would you have little children pick those needles up and risk hepatitis C and HIV?
Well, that's why they're handed in here for chocolate bars.
Yeah, you agree with that program?
I do.
No. Julie's traveling today. Thank you very much.
Does she have a position on this center?
No comment right now. Thank you.
No comment? Barb, what do you think about that?
You know what? It's everywhere. Because, right now I'm from New Brunswick, and they're doing it in New Brunswick, too. They're shutting them all down.
David Menzies for Rebel News in the Leslieville district of Toronto. And folks, I'm standing in front of the increasingly notorious South Riverdale Community Health Center. This is the site of a so-called safe injection site. It attracts a rough clientele and an even rougher band of drug dealers who want to serve that clientele. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, folks, I have an appeal for you. As you can see, we have our fantastic Jumbotron-equipped truck here. It is to send a message to the province and to the site itself in terms of doing something about this notorious safe injection site. But here's where I need your help. This is going to cost us over $2,000. We also have security with us. And the reason for that is when I was here earlier this month with my cameraman Maurizio, he actually had his cell phone stolen right out of his hands by one of the lovely clients of this facility. Such is the emboldenment that they would do something like that. So we just want to make sure that no harm comes to us if we run into any ruffians. But in the meantime, if you can go to fixourcities.com, that's fixourcities.com, and make a donation and sign our petition, because there are so many wonderful cities in our great Dominion that are going down the sewer hole heading to the, descriptor of San Francisco North. And case in point is this stretch of Queen Street East in the gentrified Leslieville area, which has to deal with this blight. Now, as you know, this facility first made headlines back on July 7th. That was when Carolina Hubner Muckarat was actually murdered in broad daylight. You see, there were a couple of dueling drug dealers that got into an argument, and they resorted to gunplay, and unfortunately, Carolina took a stray bullet and was later pronounced dead. Now, that is bad enough. But here's the thing, folks. Guess what? There's been some arrests since then, and a couple of the alleged gunmen have lengthy criminal records, and I know this is going to shock you, they were out on bail, obviously breaking numerous sections of their parole prohibitions. Now, this is another very interesting arrest too, and that would be 23-year-old Khalila Zara Mohammed. She has been charged with accessory after the fact and obstruction of justice in relation to the shooting. But get a load of this. Miss Mohammed is actually an employee at the safe injection site, and she was the subject of a glowing CBC report last year in which she made the case that the city needs more sites like this. Can you imagine? You just couldn't make this up, folks.
Just the past 3 years, community health workers like Khalila Mohammed have checked more than 5,200 illegal street drugs. It's just a pilot program set to end later this year, but they aren't ramping down. They just went digital last month, hoping to turn around results even faster.
The reality is, people don't know what they're using.
No one knows what they're using.
Exactly, nobody knows what they're using.
Well, that's scary, isn't
it?
Oh, but just when you think it couldn't get any worse, it gets worse, because earlier this month, this facility thought it was a good idea to have a promotional campaign directed towards children. There was a poster that was erected here, and it stated, "Got Sharps, want chocolate? For every full Sharps container you return to counterfeit, we'll give you a chocolate bar," end quote. Now, counterfeit is a harm reduction program for women, but I guess it doesn't mean that they're all about not causing harm for children. I mean, what could go wrong with kids picking up discarded hypodermic needles? I know, hepatitis, HIV. It is absolutely outrageous that this program was given the green light. I got to tell you, it even caught the attention of Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who had this to say on Twitter, quote, "This is an actual sign from a drug consumption site in Toronto. What is happening in Canada?" Oh, by the way, and talk about false advertising. When this program was launched, my cameraman Maurizio and I, well, we brought along a sack of needles. We wanted to see what we were going to be rewarded with. Would it be a low-end Snickers bar or maybe a high-end Laura Secord treat? Well, check out the reception we received at the South Riverdale Community Health Center.
Hey, how you doing there? Oh, I'm just here to, excuse
No,
me.
you're not here for anything. Please leave.
I've got syringes here. I'm here for my candy bar.
Sir, please leave.
I'm here for my candy bar.
Please leave.
Excuse me.
No, you can't come in.
Well, this is a public facility, isn't
Not
it?
for you, no.
No? Why is that? Okay. Oh, geez, you're crushing me.
Yes.
You have a sign that says if you live in Leslieville and you're concerned about your kids picking up needles that surround the drug consumption site, you don't have to worry. In fact, if your kids collect enough, they can trade them in for chocolate. Here's my bag of needles. Do you want to take it?
Please leave.
No.
Now, there is some good news to report. Last week it was announced that the Ministry of Health is indeed going to investigate this facility, but that is not good enough. So we have a two-pronged message that we're trying to deliver with our Jumbotron truck. One is to get Premier Doug Ford to close this facility until that investigation has been completed. This neighborhood has endured too much trauma to let it run unabated. And secondly, we are calling for the immediate resignation of the health center's CEO. That would be Jason Altenberg. Maybe as part of his severance, we can give him a couple of Mars bars. That might make him happy. In the meantime, we're sending our message here. Luckily, we have a Toronto Police Service cruiser here. That's a good thing, because if you can imagine, folks, the powers that be directing the police, and don't blame the police for this, they tell them not to patrol this area because they don't want the clients further stigmatized. Can you imagine? In other words, don't dispatch the police to an area where there is a high possibility of crime being committed. But I'm glad to see them here. And we do have our security, so let's speak to passersby, see what they have to say, and maybe if Mr. Altenberg is not such a coward, he'll come out and give us an interview. Let's check it out. Do you know Miss Mohammed? She's an employee here. Get my good side. Pardon me?
Do you know that there's a trespass order against you?
Oh, I'm on a sidewalk, ma'am.
I said.
So,
That's all I have to say.
where is Mr. Altenberg there? Would Mr. Altenberg like to come on camera and talk about that despicable Needles for Chocolates campaign? Well, that's interesting, folks. The lady in the face diaper just gave me a trespass warning. Well, we're not in the building, and the only reason we came to the building last week was to get our chocolate for our bag of needles. So I don't know if she thinks that the sidewalk is part of private property too. Now, there, as you can see, there are some reprobates down the sidewalk there. Well, that's never a good look, putting some clothing, or as the case may be, a cast over a face. He's yelling at us. I don't know why. That's the thing. Some of the people, the clientele here, they're quite harmless. Others are deranged out of their minds. By the way, to the west of me, around that corner, that's a parkette. Folks, you never want to bring your children to this parkette. It tends to be taken over by the clients and the drug dealers. Let's go take a peek. So as you can see, it's not much, but maybe because of our presence, there's not the usual attendance here. But this little parkette is really ground zero for the drug dealing. After all, the people coming into this facility. Oh, what was that, sir? Sorry?
Three involved and have nothing to do with this site.
What's that?
The three involved have nothing to do with South Riverdale.
Did you know Miss Mohammed? It is unbelievable. But anyways, we'll continue to see what some of the people who live in Leslieville have to say. You know, the taxpayers that are obeying the law. Yes, ma'am.
Would you rather the needles be on the ground and infecting people with hepatitis C and HIV?
Well, you know, ma'am, you're making our point. Why would you have little children pick those needles up and risk hepatitis C and HIV?
Well, that's why they're handed in here for chocolate bars.
Yeah, you agree with that program?
I do.
Wow. And so, do you have children yourself, ma'am?
I don't.
Okay, then. If you had a young child, would you have any reservation of him or her picking up a potentially...
That's why they're handed in here.
Yeah, but...
People hand them in for chocolate bars because they are handing them in so that they're in safe hands. That's all I have to say.
But the process of picking them up is the danger, ma'am.
I think that's ridiculous. I would not want my children involved in that.
And I take it these are your children then, right? Yeah, and I mean, can you imagine the risk of getting, I don't know, Hep C, HIV?
I can't imagine, so it wouldn't happen.
We are asking for the CEO of this center to resign. It's currently under investigation, but would you support the resignation of the CEO?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
And one last thing, we also want the province to shut down this facility until the investigation is completed. Would you support that?
I would 100% support that.
That's not very ladylike language. Oh, and the finger too. Did you know Miss Mohammed, the accomplice in the shooting of Carolina, ma'am? One of your co-workers? How many chocolates do you have left for the Use Sharps campaign? Anybody want to come on camera, or are you too cowardly? Unbelievable. Well, folks, talk about a coincidence. The federal MP for the riding in which the South Riverdale Community Health Center is located, well, that would be Julie DeBruzen, and her constituency office is here. Now, back when Carolina Hubner Muckarat was originally murdered, we came down here to get Miss DeBruzen on camera. Well, you know what? Either they don't like insensitive questions and they lock the doors when they see a Rebel News reporter coming, or the doors are always locked given, well, the descent of this neighborhood. But we're here once again to reach out. We're going to pay her a house call. Let's see if the staff will let us in, or at least give us an answer. Hi, ma'am. How you doing? Good. I'm David Menzies with Rebel News. We were just wondering if Miss DeBruzen, if she's here, or any staffer can talk about the South Riverdale Community Health Center and all the trouble it's causing for the area.
No. Julie's traveling today. Thank you very much.
Does she have a position on this center?
No comment right now. Thank you.
No comment? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Well, we tried. Who was it back in 2015? You know, that speech, Sunny Ways, and the promise of the Justin Trudeau Liberals being the most transparent government in Canadian history. And there you have it, Julie DeBruzen. She's traveling and she has no comment, even though her own constituency office was a stone's throw away from where Carolina Hubner Muckarat was murdered. Unbelievable. Okay, folks, we've taken our message to Queen's Park. That is the home of the legislature. And our Jumbotron-equipped truck is doing laps around Queen's Park Crescent. And it's kind of funny, isn't it? I can't help but notice here is the former place of our first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald. Well, actually, he's still there. It's just that you can't see him. He's boarded up in a makeshift coffin with a garbage bag on top of his head. And doesn't that tell you a lot about the government in Ontario right now. If there is a harmful so-called safe injection site in which people are even being murdered, well, you know, business as usual. Let's give them a third or a fourth or a fifth chance. But if anyone is offended by the mere sight of the founder of Canada, well, lickety-split, we will board them up. We will prevent those snowflakes from getting offended. Unbelievable. Well, folks, we brought our Jumbotron equipped truck to Yonge Dundas Square. This would probably be the most popular tourist destination in the city, this intersection. So naturally, about a football field or so away at Yonge and Victoria Street, the city in its wisdom decided to put another safe injection site. Unbelievable. Even if you believe in these sites, why not put them, I don't know, in industrial parks? Or better yet, why can't this city, this province, embrace the model of Alberta? Alberta is not in the business of sustaining drug addiction to homeless drug addicts. Rather, they are about rehabilitating them. It sounds like a plan to me, but instead we have some kind of healthcare culture in Ontario and other provinces where it seems that the goal is to perpetuate misery. I don't understand it either, folks. Well, we're doing a report, sir, about that Leslieville safe injection site. Last month, a mother was shot down there, murdered. Now there was talk of them running a program where they were enticing kids to pick up used needles to get a chocolate bar. And we think enough is enough. Maybe the province has to shut this facility down. What do you think?
Probably. It sounds like a really bad situation for the kids, so yeah, it's unfortunate.
Sorry, I'm from England. I don't know anything about it.
Okay then. Well, you have a nice trip then. Do they have safe injection sites in England?
What's a safe injection site?
Where you can go and get the paraphernalia to do drugs and whatnot.
I don't think so, no. Yeah. I'm not sure.
I think England's on the right track. Okay then.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have an opinion on it. I don't really know enough about it, I think, to but I don't think it would be a good thing.
But we're just wondering if the site's going to be put under investigation, but in the meantime, should it be shut down given the way it's behaving?
Well, as much as I do think that these things help people, I've seen corruption within them.
Oh, yes.
Right? So I can understand how a staff member's involved to some degree. So if that location is already kind of embedded in that environment, which means, now you have to understand, when people get clean, now under the idea of harm reduction, clean means methadone. Clean means you're still on safe supply. So to me, that's not clean. That you're still using.
Do you think the province should shut down this facility?
Yeah, I think I do. And I'm not sure that ad was necessarily expressly aimed at children. But children certainly would have read it and understood that that's what they should do for the reward. Yeah, I don't think it has any place within a suburban community.
Barb, what do you think about that?
You know what? It's everywhere. Because, you know, right now I'm from New Brunswick, and they're doing it in New Brunswick too. They're shutting them all down.
Certainly, I think at every level of government, there should be more action to be keeping the people safe, especially from things. That's the first thing that I think I learned whenever I walked in public was don't pick things up off the ground.
The way I see it is, the moment one of these sites open up, I know three things are going to happen. I know that stealing in the area is going to go through the roof because dealers are going to hang out at that site, and you're going to go to the closest store to steal. Right? Criminals are lazy. They're going to go to the closest thing to them. So anyone if it's in a neighborhood that isn't, say, inner city, then yeah, for sure, they're going to see a huge crime difference. There's no doubt about that.
Is there another way we can address this problem? I mean, we looked to Alberta. They're getting addicts off the street. They're putting them into dormitories. They're not contributing to this, descent of the human condition by giving them more drugs. Is that kind of tough love approach? Maybe is that a better idea than what we have today, sir?
I certainly think so. I think treatment is the key, not necessarily coddling to their addiction.
Maybe is the Alberta model the one for the rest of Canada?
The proof's in the pudding. You know, I'm sure we could take a lot of tips from Alberta. You might know Tamara Litch is from Alberta. She was the center of the Freedom Convoy. You know, so, but that said, it's a diverse country from coast to coast. I've seen both sides from Newfoundland to White Rock, where I currently live. And I think we have a lot to learn from each other. And I think we have more to gain from working with each other than through our differences.
But here's where I need your help. This is going to cost us over $2,000. We also have security with us. And the reason for that is when I was here earlier this month with my cameraman Maurizio, he actually had his cell phone stolen right out of his hands by one of the lovely clients of this facility. Such is the emboldenment that they would do something like that. So we just want to make sure that no harm comes to us if we run into any ruffians. But in the meantime, if you can go to fixourcities.com, that's fixourcities.com, and make a donation and sign our petition, because there are so many wonderful cities in our great Dominion that are going down the sewer hole heading to the, I guess, descriptor of San Francisco North. And case in point is this stretch of Queen Street East in the gentrified Leslieville area, which has to deal with this blight.